The jab is universally taught as a rangefinder or a setup punch, designed to measure distance rather than end fights. But structurally, there is no anatomical reason your lead hand can't carry devastating concussive force. Fighters often mistakenly believe they need to load up a massive rear cross or a looping hook to score a knockout. By shifting your weight transfer and timing, you can transform that light probing jab into a heavy, fight-ending blow. To understand why your jab usually lacks power, you have to look at how you were likely first taught to throw it. Most fighters throw arm punches, relying entirely on the triceps and the front shoulder to snap the glove out and bring it back quickly. While that flicking motion is perfect for scoring points, distracting an opponent, or managing distance, it absolutely does not transfer mass. A knockout jab works on the principle of a kinetic chain, moving your entire body weight from the floor through your hips and out the end of your knuckles. The biggest misconception in striking is that generating this kind of force requires a telegraph or a massive wind-up. In reality, concussive power in a straight punch comes from a sudden, violent weight shift combined with structural rigidity. You are essentially falling into the punch and using your skeletal structure as a battering ram to transfer your moving mass directly into your opponent's chin. To actually apply this, you need to completely change your footwork and your hip engagement. Start in your standard fight stance, but instead of just flicking your lead hand out from the shoulder, you are going to initiate the movement from your rear foot. Drive the ball of your back foot into the floor like a sprinter, pushing off the starting blocks. As you push, take a hard, explosive step forward with your lead foot. The timing of this movement is absolute. Your glove must impact the target at the exact fraction of a second your lead foot firmly plants on the canvas. If your foot lands before the punch, your body weight drops straight down into the floor, killing your momentum. If the punch lands before the foot, you are just throwing an off-balance arm punch. It has to happen simultaneously, so your opponent absorbs the entire weight of your forward step. As you're stepping, you must violently turn your lead hip and shoulder over. Think of it like pouring out a heavy pitcher of water. Rotate your fist so your palm is facing down, or even slightly outward, right at the point of impact. This corkscrew motion serves two massive purposes. First, it snaps your shoulder up to your cheek to protect your chin from a counter right hand. Second, it perfectly aligns your radius and ulna bones in your forearm, locking your wrist and elbow so your arm acts like a rigid pole rather than a shock absorber. You also have to adapt this mechanic to the specific situation in front of you. If your opponent is a highly mobile fighter who constantly circles away to maintain distance, you must take a much deeper, penetrating step to physically crash your mass through their guard and reach their chin. Conversely, if your opponent is an aggressive brawler, relentlessly pressuring forward, you don't need a massive forward step. Instead, quickly shift your weight onto your lead leg, slightly drop your center of gravity, and forcefully lock out your arm. You are essentially planting a spear into the ground and letting them walk their own body weight into it, doubling the collision force. Integrating this heavy jab into your daily training requires retraining your muscle memory, starting on the heavy bag. Begin by throwing single, isolated power jabs, focusing entirely on the timing of your lead foot planting as your knuckles sink into the leather. You are not trying to push the bag so it swings wildly toward the ceiling. You want to hear a deep, sharp thud that folds the bag right in the middle, leaving it hanging mostly in place. That sound means you have successfully transferred your energy into the target, rather than just pushing it away. Once you feel that perfect structural alignment, start blending it into your shadowboxing and pad work through contrast. Mix 3 or 4 light, fast, flicking jabs to build the habit of blinding the opponent, then suddenly step in hard with the heavy knockout jab. This change in rhythm and power is exactly what catches an opponent off guard in sparring or a real fight. They get conditioned to expect a light tap that they can just walk through, and suddenly they are hit with the concussive force of a cross coming from the lead side. Long-term mastery of this technique means you stop viewing your lead hand purely as a tactical measuring stick and start treating it as a primary offensive weapon. When you consistently threaten with a heavy jab, your opponent is forced to freeze, respect your space, or shell up defensively, which completely opens up the rest of your striking arsenal. Drill this weight transfer slowly at first, perfect the timing of your foot and fist, and eventually that lead hand will become a devastating force that can end a fight the moment it starts.